guys, Aaron from Biz Excel Everyday, and today I want to talk to you guys about creating a snapshot of your monthly spending using pivot table. This is a practical application of how to use a pivot table, and so I thought this would be a good way to introduce pivot table and have you guys apply this in your day-to-day life. I'm not sure about you guys, but for myself, I spend most of my money on my credit card. And that allows me to basically download a CSV or Excel version of, or spreadsheet version of my spending. And I can manipulate that data to basically get a sense of where I'm spending my money and where I need to basically make some adjustments going forward. I have created a sample data here. I'm just going to move this guy right out of the way. Okay, so I have gone ahead and downloaded that. And I've just added something called category next to it. So I basically went through every category and I added what this would fall under. And I said, okay, No Frills is a Canadian grocery store, and so I put that under grocery. This is my Spotify, pay $10, $9.99 every month. I put that in the subscription. I had to pay credit card fee this month, and that came under fee adjustment. Some parking, put that as parking. Some insurance money that I had to pay. This is dining out. Petro-Canada is a gas station in Canada, so I put that as gas. And so I have gone ahead and created those categories. And if you really want to get nitty-gritty, you can create a subcategory underneath this as well. And the more categories you have, the more detailed view you can create. Something to think about is if you put a lot of categories, it could also get really convoluted, and you can kind of fall into this analysis paralysis as well. And so best to keep it simple from the beginning, and once you get comfortable creating pivot tables and analyzing data, you can go ahead and create more categories or subcategories. Okay, so now that I have this data, I'm going to use a pivot table or pivot charts to get a snapshot of what my spending would have been like. So I'm going to select all the data. I'm going to hold Control Shift left and bottom. And then I'm going to go Alt N V T for pivot table. You could also just go Insert from this page. You can go by selecting everything. You just go Insert, Pivot Table, and Table. You don't even have to select anything. You can just go Pivot Table, and it'll ask you the range that you want to select. And Excel's smart enough that it has already selected the data range for me, and I want that in a new worksheet. Okay, now once you're here, you have to build your report. Well, the first thing I have to do is create what are going to be my columns and what are going to be my rows and what are the values that it's going to summarize in. And so I want to see this data by the categories that I created, right? Because I want to see, hey, how much money did I spend for groceries this month? How much money did I spend for subscription, and so on and so forth. And so I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this guy into my rows. And those are going to be my rows. I'm also going to add in the total amount that I spent. I'm going to put that into values. And this is it. And this is going to give me, it's going to change this to dollar values. It's going to give me breakdown of how much I spent based on those categories that I created. Okay, well, this is good information. I spent the most amount of money in groceries, $4.18. By the way, this is not a real data. I've just kind of randomly changed some numbers and stuff. So not an accurate picture of my own spending, but you guys get the idea. Looks like I've spent a lot of money in groceries, $4.18.19, and that takes most of it. But this is not the easiest way to look at or to get a quick snapshot of what you spent. There's another way to present this data. I'm going to go ahead and create another column by dragging the transaction amount, and it's going to create another row, or sorry, another column with the exact same thing. But what I want to see is, instead of the sum of transaction amount, I want to see what this value is represented by the total or percent of grand total. What I'm trying to get to here is, if I spent total of $1,287, and that is the 100% of it, I want to know what my grocery bill was in terms of what percentage of it that it took up. So it looks like about a third of my spending, 32, just shy of 33%, was spent towards groceries. Spent some money towards launching some business, as well as eating out. That was a good chunk of it. Fee was a good chunk of it this month, as well as gas, some subscription as well. Okay, this is good information, but I wonder if there's a better way to do this, or even better view of it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try something different. This is a pivot table. Tables are great, and if you're numerically inclined, this is a really good way to go. But a lot of people like visual representation of their data, and it's much easier way to see it and a quick glance of it. So I'm going to go back to my sample data here, and I'm just going to create Alt N, V, and C for pivot chart. And I'm going to go ahead and create that in a new sheet. And I'm going to create the same data here. I'm going to put in the description as my rows. Oops, sorry, I meant category as my rows, and transaction amount as my values. And I'll just sum up all my values by the categories. And you can also relabel this like this: category. Perfect. Grand total is. This is pretty good. This is already a better view of where I spent the most money. It jumps right out at you. The grocery, whoa, 400 and something bucks, 418. Another way to present this data is to go to design, and you can just change the type of chart that this is. Another good way to do this is a pie chart. I kind of like the 3D version of that pie chart right here. Let's see what that looks like. Let me see. Let me just go back to the normal pie chart here. That might be even easier to see. There you go. That's a good representation of it. And that'll show you what you spent on groceries. This is gas, fees, entertainment, eating out. So you can right away tell that this was the biggest chunk. This is eating out. Sorry, I got a text on my phone. And yeah, that's it. This is a simple introduction video to pivot table and getting a quick snapshot of how to turn your monthly spending into a quick snapshot. How to turn your monthly spending into a quick snapshot on Excel using Pivot. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you guys next time.